Several of them even tweeted, put up releases and notices saying that, yeah, it was ready for commissioning. They were good to go. I think Engineer Saleh Maman also tweeted at the time. It was then Minister of Power that the former president, President Buhari, was coming there to, of course, do the honors. But now, if wishes were horses.
I mean, it's such a disappointing story. This particular place in Lambarimi, it was supposed to be an alternative to Umar Musa Yar'Adua at the time, you know, who had launched in 2005. 19 years later, nothing. Like Chamberlain said, 8 attempts at getting this wind farm to work. 4 billion naira gone, according to reports. 4 billion has gone into... And with the allocations, they will do one thing or the other. I think where they are right now, there was a time they commissioned the line itself, but they haven't been able to commission this entire thing. They said there's one of the substations that hasn't been built yet. At least that's where they are in the conversations about this. But a very disappointing story. 19 years later, 4 billion naira after, still not functional. You know,
you would have just wished or thought, okay, maybe this was a slip-up, 7, 8 attempts notwithstanding. Okay, maybe you'd have thought, all right, maybe they'll have other things going for them in the country. But you know what? That's not it. There's several non-functional assets littered all over the country. I know when you hear the word Ajaokuta, several things come to mind. So what is going on at the moment with that? There are several narratives. Some will tell you, oh, some parts of it is functional, some other parts, but we know that in this country, the country has, what, 2 billion metric tons of iron ore reserves. We have huge potential and capacity. They say, look, that we're projected to reach about 255 million tons of production, steel production, crude steel production by 2030 through to 2031. That's about, if we have 85% capacity utilization in this country. But we all know that these things sound like fables to a lot of people. There's several attempts to get this done. And you know what, guys? It's not just about Ajaokuta. Have a list. Have a look at this list, guys. Let's have a look at it. It's not just this. Several projects that if they were up and running in that steel sector, how about textile industry? If they were functional, we will not, I think for the most part, be talking about huge, I mean, the towering amount of unemployed youths, young people, talents that are just there, just waiting and waiting almost endlessly. It's a litany or long list of projects that are just non-functional. So they start off with it. It appears as though they use it for SPVs to get some monies to send places, and then you just don't hear of it anymore. It becomes an abandoned project.
One of the hopes that we have is that the crop of leaders that we have right now will be people who want to leave legacies by getting some of these things working. So yes, the mistakes have been made. The errors have been made in the past, but you're in power now. What can you do as a leader? Look at some of these projects on our screen right now, so many of them across the country. This is an opportunity for you as a leader to leave a legacy, one that people will always remember that you were the one who fixed this when you were in office. So the blame game, the drama, yes, all of that is happening, but do what you can. Look at all of these lists that we're giving you. Paper industry, steel industries, food and beverage, automotive, power, everywhere across this country, embarrassing situations. But you can turn this around if you put your mind to work, come up with creative solutions. That thing in Katsina State, I know Governor Diko Rada is not around right now. He's on vacation. But you know, if someone can get him to actually start to think about that particular wind farm, it will be such a legacy project for him. I know the federal government is the one handling it right now. It was the state, but now it's the federal. But you know, you can do something. So it's a call to all the leaders in Nigeria right now. Do what you can with what's in your state.
I think I heard him once or so also call on the federal governments to come to their rescue in terms of a litany of abandoned projects in Katsina State alone. So you can imagine several other states that have a similar narrative. And so we need to question some of these projects. Look, what is going on? Why are they this way? So huge questions. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Chamberlain and Kayla. To the issue you are raising, not too long ago, Senator Jimo Ibrahim came up with this list and raised it actually at the floor of the Senate. It says 11,866 projects were abandoned by governments since the country's independence in 1960. That's from the Senate. The Chartered Institute of Project Management came up with their own list. And this list has been bandied around for a while, and no one has contravened it. 56,000 abandoned projects all across Nigeria worth what? 17 trillion naira. As Kayla has said, let someone come out and say that this is not true or this is not real. And I'm glad, Chamberlain and Kayla, that we are able to put this in categories. So just imagine that there is some kind of collaboration between the federal government and the state governments about this particular issue, the Ministry of Trade and Investments, or whichever name, we are. Let's get down to this. Look, there is a reason we have cascaded authorities all over the place. This is not just a job for the president. It's a job for the state government. It's a job for ministers. It's a job for commissioners of the states. These things are in various local governments in the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we all own it. 56,000 projects, depending on whose books you're looking at. 11,000 plus projects, according to the Senate. These things shouldn't just be swept under the carpet. There will be a huge bulge that's going to cost us to trip, that's going to cause us to trip. And these things shouldn't be allowed to lay fallow. So back to you, Chamberlain.
Well, unfortunately, that appears to be the case. So we'll keep tabs on all of those things and see what they do about all of them. And importantly, we know that if they're allowed to lie fallow, that's billions, trillions going down the drain. All right, let's go ahead and have a look at the dailies this morning.
The hardship protests are still very much in the news this morning. Let's begin with the Daily Independent. End bad governance protest. FG rejects foreign interference, launches probe into violence, says Tinubu didn't take office to make life difficult for citizens. And still on the protest, at the bottom of the page, protest burning politicians' houses could lead to anarchy. NNPB warns, insists government took people for granted. Front page of the New Telegraph this morning, hardship protests. The worst now over, according to the federal government. Says government committed to preventing recurrence, reassures on quick renovation of vandalized Kano ICT Park as Port Harcourt protesters vow to continue peacefully. There's widespread hunger, poverty, according to Bauchi Governor. Tinubu hasn't addressed our demands, or your rights activists. Northern groups want amnesty for 1,000 arrested protesters. Seek 250 billion naira vocational training for youths. Abajiri. That's what you have on the front page of the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. The Blueprint newspaper has another angle to it. This turbulence will soon be over. Tinubu begs Nigerians. FG warns against foreign interference. Reform necessary to correct past missteps. US, UK, Idris. And the front page of the Daily Times has another angle to it. Tinubu's reforms aimed at addressing past mistakes. According to the Information Minister, says President determined to implement reforms that would drive sustainable growth, improve quality of life for all citizens. The picture story on the front page is also about the same issue. Look at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Steer clear of our internal affairs. FG warns foreign powers. We're probing 7 Polish nationals arrested over Russian flags in Kano, according to DSS. Feds harass journalists, beat up protesters in Rivers. Army arrests soldier whose warning shot killed 16-year-old in Zaria as TOS's delegation visits family. Plateau, Bauchi relaxed curfew. Details on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Something related, you might say, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper today. Higher education. Amid hurdles, public varsities make 12 billion naira from transcript requests in 5 years. Wow. Stories on page 6. Question you want to ask it, what's it for? Check the details on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Front page of the Daily Trust oil sector. I'll reveal the truth when time comes. What does that mean? Senate probe $1.5 billion spent on Port Harcourt refinery. FG spent $600 million on monthly fuel importation, according to Finance Minister. Business Day has this one. CBN under Cardoso sells more dollars to strengthen Naira. Offloads $876.26 million at 1,495 in retail auction. Naira strengthens to 1,596 to the dollar. The Nigerian Tribune has this one you might be interested in. Minister, NNPCL, Dangote, others take fight before Senate panel. Stories on page 4. Demand live broadcast of probe. We're not thieves. Nigerians unfair to us, according to Kyari. FG yet to meet 2024 crude target, according to Edo. We're competing against Russian products being sent to Africa, according to Dangote Refinery. Senate raises questions over $1.5 billion expended on Port Harcourt Refinery. The details of that story you'll find on the inside pages of the paper this morning. This Nigeria newspaper has oil industry bleeding. NNPC's Kyari admits. Senate probes $1.5 billion spent on Port Harcourt Refinery turnaround maintenance. That story is on page 4. And at the bottom of the page, Tinubu to Nigerians. Look beyond present temporary gains. Have faith in our ability to deliver. All of that story you'll find on the inside pages of the paper this morning. These are some of the papers we have for you today.
So yes, indeed, lots of questions about the oil industry and its activities. We'll focus on that today on the program, so just hang on. But, you know, yesterday, this information came through that some security operatives had stormed the Labour House, that's the NLC Secretariat, and then they were ransacking it, they were looking for whatever, who knows what. So they put up that statement themselves yesterday, the NLC themselves, and then they say, well, they didn't know what was going on. So this morning, our team went to the Pascal Bafia Labour House. There were no security operatives at the Secretariat. However, the guards on duty confirmed that armed security personnel, including police and those in mufti, stormed the Secretariat Wednesday night, yesterday. And according to one of the guards, he refused to grant a TV interview. He said security personnel spent some time in that building before leaving, but he could not confirm to us whether they carted away some property as alleged by NOC in their statement.
I mean, this is something that we really have to watch and see how it unfolds. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
Yeah, but you see, they spoke about 2nd and 10th floor.
Yes.
So now on the 2nd floor,
the library.
That's where you see the library is empty.
Yes.
You know, we saw shelves, as you can also see there, chairs, tables in disarray, empty cartons on the floor. And then on the 10th floor, which is where the NOC president's office is and top executives, is deserted. All the offices are locked.
I mean, what's this connected to? I mean, I'm trying to understand why this place was raided. Is it in connection with the protests? Are they looking for something else? Is there an investigation going on? Was a search warrant given? There's so many questions about this. And the understanding of what has happened and why the NLC Secretariat, of all places, is the place that is being raided, you know. And the understanding, I think that's what the labor leaders are even asking for. We need to understand what's going on, what has happened, what are you looking for, what have we done, what are we being accused of doing? You know, there's so much communication from security agencies that needs to go into this matter. And for the Nigerian people, because I want to understand what's happening. Is there something going on that we don't know about?
Well, clearly there is, because Labour themselves don't know.
They don't know what's going on.
Some of them suspected that, I mean, since the protest is going on and security is trying to get a lead on the protest to ensure that it doesn't spread or degenerate any further than it has already with the vandalization of property, both private and public property. So there's word that what transpired, they suspected that, well, they might have contributed or some of the materials there may have a thing or two to do with the protest. So you know how this investigation can go when you're scrambling.
And there's
to
a
get
watch
the lead
list
on it.
right now. The federal government said they've put the sponsors, diaspora sponsors, on a watch list. They've frozen accounts. What that's another conversation, Chamberlain. The sponsors of the protest, what did they do? You know, what's the crime that has been committed that they are being, you know, they're put on watch lists, and did they sponsor violence? Is that what the accusation is? What's going on?
I haven't read how they came to the conclusion that they were sponsors of the protest. I'm yet to see that, or none of them I haven't interviewed or spoken.
No, not the NLC. They're diaspora sponsors. They have that one. So you just mentioned right now that the NLC this could be in connection with it.
Yeah, it's a backstory. So, but those who they say who adjourns or who determines who is a sponsor? Is it an individual security, or do you take them to court and the court says you've been found guilty of this and so you do the time? As it is now, they can only be suspected sponsors. So if they've not been so adjourned by the courts, can we actually say that for sure? Yeah. That's a big question, Ayo.
Well, you know, what's interesting, these are just permutations, and I hope, you know, that maybe the NLC, the TUC, or the Ministry of Labour would also come out to add a word. Because on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, there is this story that's you'll find details of on page 5. Don't fund politics with union dues, Ministry tells NLC, TUC. Could that be what that is all about? I guess we wait and see, Chamberlain.
More than meets the eye. So we'll be seeking clarifications from all those that may have been mentioned. They say they sold them there. So all of that will come to you much later. But stick with us here. We will be right back.
We are thrilled to have you on board as we chart the course for our next chapter. We're inviting you to take up your rights in full for 19 naira 75 kobo per share. From the 8th of July to 14th of August, take advantage of the chance to acquire one more ordinary share for every 2 shares in your portfolio. Visit www.theaccesscorporation.com to subscribe. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
Labour Party. And then bring the men, we go solve problem for we state, we go make us happy. For Labour Party. Better things go flow from post to post as it's supposed to be normally. Hello, people want to matter. Oh, my God. Now you guys.
Vote Olumide Osaigbovo Akpata as governor. Vote Alhaji Asama Kadiri for deputy governor Edo State. Vote Labour Party.
At Access Holdings, we are heading into the next phase of our evolution. And with our rights issue, you get an increased stake in it. From the 8th of July to the 14th of August, you can get your share of over 17 billion shares at 19 naira 75 kobo per share. That's one new ordinary share to every 2 shares held. Visit theaccesscorporation.com to subscribe. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
We are passionate about 2 things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bull Rice, homegrown just like you. Big Bull Rice, tasty rice, nourished you.
Investing in the capital market can be tricky as the numbers move in different directions. Sometimes the bull bellows, other times it's the beer that roars. In all of these, an investment decision has to be made. On Capital Market, we help you take the right decision. Join us at 7 p.m. every Saturday, only on Channels Television. Capital Market, investment tips for you.
At Access Holdings, we are heading into the next phase of our evolution. And with our rights issue, you get an increased stake in it. From the 8th of July to the 14th of August, you can get your share of over 17 billion shares at 19.75 per share. That's one new ordinary share to every 2 shares held. Visit theaccesscorporation.com to subscribe. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
Welcome back. We're focusing on the oil and gas industry. As the Senate Ad Hoc Committee is doing, they started off yesterday. So this morning we've got Alhaji Zarama Mustafa, who is the National Operations Controller for IPMAN. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
First off, your designation changed. What's going on? Is IPMAN, what's happening? Is everything sorted now or what?
Well, my designation changed because knowing fully well we have some crisis within the association for the last 8 to 9 years, we were able to come together and unite as one formidable IPMAN. Sacrifices are being made for the simple interest of unity and common purpose of the association. So I happened to sacrifice my former position to take the National Operations Controller, have a formidable force where we can be able to talk with one single voice, work for the benefit of independent marketers' interests across the nation, with the government, with the public, and how best we can be able to promote our businesses.
So all of those who, the group that said we also conducted elections, everything, most people sacrificed, they merged together, notwithstanding whatever elections held by whatever group.
Yes, it was merged, and some people have to sacrifice, in such situations. Some positions were shared, and we all agreed. And I assure you, IPMAN is one now.
So does it mean that the next time there's an election is going to be for a singular purpose, singular, no faction?
Certainly.
When is the next election, though?
In the next 4 years.
4 years.
By God's grace, yeah.
But you said for the last 8 to 9 years, there's been this back and forth.
Certainly.
It means those who may have tried to pay attention to IPMAN for that 8 and 9 years may not have gotten the full benefit of what IPMAN could achieve if they were together.
Certainly.
So now that you come together, if IPMAN works together in that complex whole, what is the benefit to Nigerians?
Well, Chamberlain, we first of all, I want to clearly state that we dominate about over 80% of the retail market within the country. That's
the petrol stations?
Yeah, retail outlets, the petrol stations across the country. Even most of NNPC and some of our major marketer stations are owned by most of our members, but we are leased from our members because of paucity of product, availability of product, and the rest. But if we can be able to unite as one single force, I believe we have what it takes to procure product, build refineries, and see how best we can be able to sustain a guaranteed supply to all our members so that their retail outlet will be met at any point in time. We have a lot of programs, but that division has not allowed us to articulate and achieve. But I believe with the current leadership headed by Alhaji Abubakar Shetima Megandi, who is now the national president, we are all working together as a team to see that all that is needed to make sure the business is prospering, the needs of petroleum product by the citizenry across nooks and crannies of the country is being guaranteed by helping the government, making sure that supply is being guaranteed at any point in time.
You mentioned refinery, and ears will tingle when they hear refinery, because we know several promises. In fact, I think the last one subsists, that the refineries will come to stream in August, just August, no specific date. Now, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee is probing sabotage in the oil and gas sector, spending about, what, 1.5 billion or thereabouts for Port Harcourt refinery, which is still not on stream yet. So, of course, readily, people will always, they're quick to remind or remember that we've had National Assembly do probes time and again, either for bad petroleum products, whatever it is, but it just never sees the light of day or action or tangible results. Another one is going on now. So probably for the benefit of doubt, what do you think of this?
Well, for whatever reason, the Senate set off an ad hoc committee to investigate the petroleum sector for alleged sabotage. Is for them to establish that and show to the citizenry.
It looks like that would be a huge task to establish that.
Yeah, well, they've decided to do it. They knew how taxing is it before they decided to form that ad hoc committee. I believe Senate President has chosen the people that are supposed to do that, and know all the relevant stakeholders are willing to cooperate with the committee and establish if there is the alleged sabotage existing.
I mean, you are a part of this industry.
Certainly.
Do you think that there's any economic sabotage going on there?
Well, I don't believe there is any economic sabotage. You know, the complexities of the petroleum industry, if you are not in it, you won't understand some of it. Just like Dangote has been setting a lot of things on international media. For whatever reason, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of efforts, and a lot of planning has been put in place to see that within the last, I can say from 1990 up to date, you see that we cannot be able to guarantee sustained supply of petroleum product across the nation. This elective supply, sometimes there is sustained supply, sometimes there is scarcity. We have been in this for over 25 years, or almost 30 years now.
What's the crux of the matter? Because even now, there are queues in parts of the FCT, not all over. What's the problem?
It's policy inconsistencies. For example, there was this PIA. We were all celebrating PIA will bring about the final solution to some of our problems. The regulation was done, subsidy was removed in May 29, 2023. Along the way, there was a cap for the price of PMS. That's around 620. And the basis of arriving at that price of 620-something thousand naira per liter was the FX rate. And FX rate was 750 naira as at that time, May 29, 2023. Later on, FX was also deregulated. Naira was allowed to find its value by itself. Unfortunately, Naira came to as high as 1,900.
That's floating of the Naira?
Yeah, floating of the Naira. And government came in, tried to control it. It is now around 1,600, 1,590 or 580. Even yesterday, CBN gave out, I think, 100 and something million dollars at the rate of around 1,490 or so. So if you are basing the cost, the factor that determines the price of the refined petroleum product is factored on the dollar exchange rate. That means that what do you call it, the regulation or subsidy that was removed has somehow come back again.
You mean the subsidy is back?
It's back. It's back. It's glaring.
So
If you are buying the product at at $750 per barrel, and arrive at that 620, 650 to 700 naira price across the nation, depending upon the location of where the place is. And today the dollar is 1,600, 1,500 and something. You are using the same dollar value to calculate the landing cost of PMS.
Does part of the response to the question, is it that you're also saying that floating the naira wasn't a good policy? From what you're saying.
Well, with what the floating of the naira brought about to the subsidy, I don't believe it was.
What about the removal of fuel subsidy?
It is okay if there is going to be consistency in the forex.
Okay.
I believe with proper refining capacity, issue of petroleum product supply sustainability is going to be guaranteed.
I mean, we heard the Minister of Budget and National Planning. We had him during the August protest program. And we asked him this question about the payment of fuel subsidy, because the landing cost and what we're buying at the stations shows definitely that something is going on. And he said he's not aware. He said he's not aware of, because as he said it's not budgeted for, he's not paying it, but there's a possibility that NNPC could be paying that money. What do you think about
yesterday that? He made a statement I heard from the news.
Yeah.
The NNPC is spending about $600 million monthly on the importation of petroleum product. Yeah, but yesterday I heard from the news this morning, $600 million every month on the cost of, I think, on the recovery or whatever they call it.
Which is another word for what? For subsidy?
Yes. So only God knows the magic they use, that they have been sustaining the continuous supply with this rise in the dollar exchange rate. And to be candid, I want to even commend the efforts of the GMD.
Why?
I said this because upon all these challenges after the deregulation or the removal of the subsidy, he has been able to manage the consistent supply of the product, that we didn't enter any kind of complete crisis of lack of petroleum product. Because there is no any provision for subsidy or whatever in the budget. The magic he uses to continue this supply within the last 8 or 9 months, because after the removal, the plotting of the naira started to go crazy somewhere around November 2023. Up to this point, the dollar has been above 1,000. So whatever he uses, whatever magic the management of NNPC does to continue this availability up to this time, I must commend the management of NNPC.
Can it be called magic? I mean, there are also comments that CBN may not be getting enough of this forex to ensure that they feed the supply and also see to the stabilization of the naira. And then you also have questions as to, are there remittances to the government substantially? So if you talk about magic, many will just think, look, isn't it supposed to be straightforward that the books be open for people to see that really and truly this is as transparent as can be? But if you ask lots of people today, even in IPMAN, they still question some key decisions and strategies and policies in the oil and gas sector.
Well, if there is policy consistency, that openness is going to be easy. But you plant something and you expect that thing to go smoothly based on the facts on ground and the policies that have been agreed within the stakeholders, the citizenry and the management of NNPC and government. With all good intention, all those policies were done. But somehow along the way, some basic factors came in and did not allow it to work properly.
What factors?
These are the FX exchange rate that I spoke about.
Is there a solution in your mind?
Well, the solution is all the stakeholders, the government and the NNPC and other stakeholders have to put their caps and see how best they can find a final solution out of it. It's not something that any one person can say.
But what's an ideal situation for you? What's ideal?
The ideal solution is, last time I said it, let's have enough refining capacity. Let our refineries be working. And which I know NNPC, the group CEO of NNPC, has been working tirelessly to make sure the refineries come off.
Is the magic not working with the refineries?
Well, I don't know what the contractors that have been given the responsibility of revamping the refineries are doing. They have given the awards to the group general executive of chief executive of NNPC several times, and he used their awards to assure Nigerians 2 or 3 times that one or two of the refineries will start working. Because he's not an engineer, he's not the one doing the work. They contracted it out to contractors who are assumed experts in that industry. And he takes those assurances from them and use it and inform the nation that so thing is going to be achieved within so period of time. Whatever he says is not his word. It's assurances from the contractors.
But if you were in that position and people keep giving you that excuse, and you know maybe as a private businessman that your business depends on the success of that, would you allow them keep running like that?
Well, Chamberlain, you know, it's a very complex situation.
You won't fire them?
You have already committed over 1.5, like Port Harcourt Refinery now. They have committed $1.5 billion for the revamping of that one part of the Port Harcourt Refinery. That is the old one, the 60,000 barrels. It's not all the whole of the refinery of Port Harcourt is going to come up. Out of that, I believe 210, I think, the new Port Harcourt refinery and the old one. The old one used to be 60,000 barrels. That is the first refinery that was built in the 60s. So it is that 60,000 barrels per day that they are revamping. You have put in about $1.5 billion to achieve that. And it's not an easy task to just say, go. There are other financial implications that will follow. Maybe that $1.5 million will not even finish the work if you are bringing in another person.
So, in other words, we should just leave it like this, let it keep going. Whatever award they give to us, whether it works or it doesn't work, we should keep going, keep paying those monies just like that.
No, I'm not saying that. It can't be. It can't be. But there are some certain time they have given them, limit of maybe time they have given them. If they could not perform, at the end of the day, something drastic has to be taken, just like you suggested, maybe subcontracted to another person. But when such things happen, you know, there are going to be a lot of losses on the side of NNPC.
I mean, you've seen the protests going on across the country. And for many people who are on the streets, their issue is this industry, the removal of fuel subsidy, and the link between that and the high cost of everything in the country, and how this is, and we saw from their demands, one of them was that refineries should be up and running and that they wanted the fuel subsidy returned because they just can't afford to live. What do you make of those sorts of demands? You're key in this industry. What do you make of those demands?
Well, their demands are congent. Their demands are inconsistent with the realities on the ground. Looking at the economic situation of the country, they have every right to go out and demand that. But the other side of it is we have to, whatever government can do what it can be able to afford. A situation whereby right now the landing cost of PMS is over 1,200 naira. 1,200 naira, the landing cost without margin of the marketer, transportation, and other logistics. NNPC sells to marketers at 565 naira or so. That means there is subsidy of almost 600 to 700 naira as at now that the price they are selling. If you say we should revert back to 200 naira or 250 naira, who is going? Can government can afford that much of a burden? The government has found itself in a very difficult situation. So all I will say is there is need for us to understand and see how best we can be patient enough and get out of this situation. The situation is very complex, not the way the general populace look at it. Government is in a very tight corner right now. Whether they say there is subsidy, they have no subsidy, but the fact on ground clearly states there is something they are under recovery. So I want the general public to know that I believe this is the fact on ground. I don't think the federal government doesn't want to do any action in regards to removing the subsidy. But how can they sustain or support it? Well, how will they get the funds to continue funding that subsidy? That is the difficulty we are in.
You know, the challenge is, I mean, how do people sitting and listening to you understand how? Because they question, does that then mean that the NNPC won't have that technical and productive capacity to be able to tell if these things are going to work or not? This is their industry. They should know. Nobody can come and tell you things about Ipman that you will not know. Those are huge questions. So you can't tell me somebody comes to, well, he's supposed to deliver this, he doesn't deliver it, and we keep going on like that. Something is wrong somewhere.
I'm not saying everything is right. I'm not saying everything is right, but I believe that question is going to be rightly answered by the management of NNPC. I'm not in a position to say what is wrong, what is right, and why has these refineries could not work for all these promises that has been done.
I mean, you spoke about Ipman's capacity to build a refinery. You didn't mention it in passing. You would have thought about it. You would have planned it. I mean, it would be in your head, the template, several questions and scenarios would have gone through your head. You could speak about refinery, the advantage and functionality several times. So you will clearly know if certain things are going to work and what it requires to get one working. It's the same template.
Sure, it is. But I'm not part of the management of NNPC that are running the administrative process of achieving successes in terms of repairs of refinery and managerial distance. So I'm not in a position to give that answer. I believe NNPC will be the right person to.
Is it true that in this oil and gas sector, I mean, people usually would just rather stay on their turf because if they speak about certain agencies, certain people will not be exactly too happy with them. So they just say, look, Senate, whatever, ask them direct questions, let them tell you. They don't have the answers. You should have the capacity to know if somebody's lying to you or not.
Come again, please. I didn't understand your question.
Is it true what they say about the oil and gas sector?
Yeah.
That people who operate there usually just don't like to perhaps comment, or even if it's directly not in their own line of thought or their own industry, their own strata, midstream, upstream, or downstream, they just want to stay in a certain corner because if they do, certain persons will be upset with them and it may affect business.
Well, as an independent person and as a citizen, the truth needs to be said in whatever situation you find yourself. But in a society, there is information management, and there are certain things that there is the reason why you should say it, and there is no reason. There is a reason why you should not say certain things, especially things that has to do with maybe issues that if you discuss and maybe talk about it, it will hit off maybe the nation, the security,
that's if we say the truth, the way it is.
Yes, there are information management in whatever thing we are doing. Because, okay, go ahead.
Is it a fact to say, listening to you now, that at the end of the day, the Port Harcourt refinery, even though the Senate is saying, look, how could we spend 1.5 billion and it's not functional. Yes, they've said it's going to come on stream in August. It is also very possible, isn't it, that it will not come on stream in August? From what you've told us in terms of the contractors' feelings, it's possible that it will not.
Well, I believe it's going to be a catastrophe if it didn't come off in August, because my NNPC management have assured Port Harcourt refinery is going to start about more than three or four times, to the extent that somewhere in December they have even started flaring, burning gas.
Was that flue gas? I thought they've gone through this several times.
Well, I don't know how they
that was LPG, not flue gas.
It's going to be catastrophic to the current management of NNPC if they could not live up to their promise this time around.
As a practitioner.
But I believe, let's be optimistic, I believe this...
nothing wrong with being optimistic. I mean, you have to be optimistic about life. I mean, when there's life, when there's hope, there's life.
Sure.
So, from what you've seen as a practitioner and a professional in that sector, we heard a lot of people say, this was not flue gas, this was LPG. If it were flue gas, naturally, you still see it going on today. Do they have a point when they say that?
Well, I'm not in a position to know what kind of gas they played, but I saw it on the TV. I'm not there. I'm not in that refinery to confirm what kind of gas they flared there. Okay. So I believe NNPC will be in position to know what kind of gas they flared there.
Now, for you in that industry, you know better than people who are not, clearly. So if we say, as I said now, that this Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream in August, what do you, with all you know, what do you expect to see if you hear it will come on stream?
Well, if it comes on stream, at least it will alleviate the...
No, in terms of how is it going to be functional? If they say it's going to come on stream, what does it really mean?
Well, I think it's not going to work as it used to be before, because NNPC is limited now. The refinery is on its own. It's an entity under sub-companies of NNPC. And I think when they were taking even that loan of 1.5 billion naira from, I think, Afrexim Bank or one of these African financial institutions, there is this understanding that the refinery is going to perform independently and sell at whatever prevailing market price for them to recoup their cost, and it's not going to be run like a government entity like it has been before. So I believe with the refinery coming off, it will really boost the demands and supply of especially PMS of nothing less than 11 to 15 million liters daily.
I mean, I'm optimistic, but I'm scared. You know how?
Don't be. Let's just.
I don't want to have my hopes up and have them dashed. Like you said, this has been going on for so many years. And you know, that's the thing about a lot of Nigerians who are listening to you right now. We want our country to work, but we're tired of hearing that it's coming on board, it's coming, we're doing this, and then it's August now. We're counting the days in August. It was supposed to start this August, no?
I think today is 9th, have you?
It's the 9th of August, so we have about 21 more days or 22 days to go to be watching to see if this is going to work out. Should the Nigerian be optimistic right now? Should we expect this to... Will it work? Is it going to happen?
I am confident and optimistic that this August deadline is going to be a realistic deadline.
Now, speaking about realistic, there are contexts to that realism. Because the last time we heard it was going to come on stream, much later, we then heard they had mechanical completion. That was not all. People thought, what is going on? So that's what I'm asking you. When they say it's going to come on stream, what does it mean? Is it going to be what? Which time do we? Is it going to be producing?
It will come on stream fully producing all the necessary components that refinery is supposed to produce.
That will mean that for a start, basically, there will be petrol as a result of that functioning?
Sure.
To what extent?
At least the capacity, 60,000 barrels can give you somewhere around 10 to 12 million liters of PMS.
And that will drive down this price?
Of course. It depends on how much they are willing to sell. How much do they get the crude? Because they are buying the crude at international price too. They have to pay that loan they took. They took a loan, that $1.5 billion is a loan they took from one of these African financial institutions. I don't know which one among them. With the promise of paying back the loan from whatever they recoup from functions of the refinery. So the refinery will work just like Dangote. Yeah, of course.
How do you mean just like?
Just like Dangote, because it's going to work as a profit-making refinery.
But the challenge is that,
with
that
PIA,
Dangote also had.
PIA has backed them. NNPC is no more run like it used to be. It is a limited liability company that is working to get profit for its shareholders, who are the Nigerians.
Could you speak to us on this matter? You know, that directive came through that they should sell crude to Dangote refinery in Naira.
Yes.
What is the implication of that?
It's just the currency. But whatever they are going to sell in Naira is going to be calculated based on the FX.
FX, you know, so what was the point?
The point is, it will reduce the demand, the pressure on the Naira. You don't need to be
Naira or dollars?
Pressure on the Naira.
Pressure on...
Naira will be chasing dollar continuously. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So the volume of demand of dollars is going to drastically reduce, which will maybe give some kind of value appreciation to our currency.
Okay.
That is one of the reasons they made that statement.
Even though,
that policy, sorry.
Even though with respect to the price of the petroleum product, we've also heard
supply.
Yeah, that it will not have any direct consequences on the price of petroleum products in this country. Is that right?
Well, it depends. With the situation we are now, I think maybe government will come in and see at what rate are they going to be giving the crude oil to the refineries. If they want an easy way out, maybe some of the heads of the government, the ministers and the rest, and the management of NNPC might come and say, can we find a way of discounting the crude for local consumption so that we can get a very affordable price for the citizenry with all these protests and other things, and the economic situation and the difficulties and sufferings the economic situation has brought to the people. How do we get about it? I think the cabinet of Mr. President should come in and see how best they can be able to supply, maybe at a cheaper rate, so that the price will come down for people to get the petroleum product at an affordable price where they can be able to continue.
Has Ipman perished the idea or notion that they too wouldn't mind either importing petroleum products or something? Is that still a consideration for Ipman? Playing a bigger role in that sector?
It's one of the focus of Ipman. If we don't have the required supply that we need from the refineries, we can...
That's what, crude supply?
No, I mean, we were not into crude. We're talking of importation.
Yes.
Not export. You were talking of importation of refined petroleum products. Is that what what you're asking?
Yeah.
So if we cannot be able to get what our demands, and demands of waiting our stations, getting enough product to wait our filling stations, retail outlets. If we cannot get enough, we have the market, we can be able to put a mechanism in place where we can be able to also participate in importing the product, or maybe the product the refinery is trying to sell to us is higher than maybe importing it. We can take ways and look for permits that we can be able to come in and also import the product at a cheaper rate.
Why is Ipman not doing that? I thought they said the floor is open for anybody. If you want to import any petroleum product, go ahead.
It's not possible because the policy does not allow you to import and make any profit.
Which policy?
I said landing cost of PMS is about 1,200 naira. PMS is sold for 600, 700 here in Nigeria. How can you buy something at 1,200 naira and come and sell it at that price? That's the policy cap of the capping of the price.
So are you saying that we have not fully deregulated?
We have not. That is a fact. There is still a price cap. Look at diesel now. Diesel is completely deregulated since Obasanjo area.
And how much is
2004.
So what's the benefit of deregulation then?
Well, the benefit is not that much to the common man.
But to the marketer, it's important. It's huge.
Even to the marketer, it's not, because looking at the needs for you to be in business in the regulation era, a lot of, about more than 50 or 60% of our members are almost out of business because of the capital involved. Once you cannot get the capital to buy and sell, you cannot sustain the business. And most of our members, what they used to buy, one truck they used to buy, you need about 5 or 6 times of that value of capital for you to buy one truck today. So it's not also good for even independent marketers at all.
So going forward, what do you need? What do you need to? What do we need to maximize our potential in this industry? Because every time we speak to someone, it's so depressing, Chamberlain. Every time you listen to someone from the oil sector, it's like this. It's like this. I'm not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. I'm hearing promises that I'm afraid of believing in. You know, but
don't be afraid. Let's continue to.
It's my right. I'll be afraid. I don't want to believe something and get hurt. So ultimately, for Ipman and for this sector, what would you advise can be done right now? What is the magic wand that we can use right now?
Well, there is no magic per se. But we all the stakeholders and the government have to be sincere, have a vision, focus, and a plan that has to be achieved at all costs, at whatever detriment. Government has to be serious and bold, making sure the downstream subsector is being being maximized in terms of assurances of petroleum product needs of the citizenry.
Let me ask you as you wind down on this one. If NNPCL begins supplying Dangote crude, I don't know to what capacity, because of the full sale agreement that Nigeria has, what then happens to the Port Harcourt refinery or other refineries if they come on stream in this country? Will Dangote still be getting the same amount of crude? What happens to all the others?
I don't think so. Because that 450,000 barrels per day was meant for the 4 existing refineries for local consumption. That was done as far back as 1980s, while all the 4 refineries were functioning. The Kaduna refinery is about 100,000 barrels per day capacity. Port Harcourt is 210,000 barrels per day capacity. And I think Warri, combined capacity of the 4 refineries are 450,000 barrels per day. When the refineries start producing, I don't think Dangote will have that much of 450,000 barrels.
Back to square one.
Well, they have to get another, all other people that have the fields, the crude oil fields. By then, maybe Dangote will be working to get more sources of feedstock from the existing oil well owners within the country.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for your time here this morning. Alhaji Zarma Mustafa is the National Operations Controller of Ipman, who he says they are now one united body. Business Morning on Sunrise Daily comes up next.
Thank you so much, Chamberlain and Kayla. They are afraid to dream. Kayla, let yourself fly. Believe in Nigeria again. Well, this is Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. You're welcome. I'm Ini John Mekwa. We start, well, I think from where they stopped, right there, talking about the oil and gas industry. But from the global space now, we see that prices edge higher on Thursday for the third straight session after government data showed a steep draw in the United States crude stockpiles, rebounding from multi-month lows that it touched earlier this week. Keeping our eyes on the number, now we see a lot of recovery right there for Brent at $78.56 a barrel after it went up 0.3%. For WTI, it's now at $75.52. It gained 0.4%. And yes, the stockpiles at the United States U.S. crude inventories is one of the drivers for this price movement. It fell for 6 straight weeks in a row last week, dropping by 3.7 million barrels to 429.3 million barrels. That was the number for last week, and those data just came out, government data. However, the potential for Middle East supply disruptions worried markets after the killing of their senior members of militant group Hamas and Hezbollah last week, and raised the possibility of retaliatory strikes by Iran. As we know, they now have a new leader right there. While no supply has been impacted so far, attacks on ships in the Red Sea have forced tankers to take longer routes, meaning more oil stays on the water for longer. Meanwhile, Libya's National Oil Corporation has declared force majeure in its Sarara oil field from Tuesday, according to a statement that they released, adding that the company had gradually reduced the field's production because of protests. And then we come to Nigeria, looking at our currency market. We know that the Dutch auction system started yesterday from the CBN. We'll talk more about that, but let's see how the Naira closed. Seems to be friendly with it. Is it the news of it, or is it the real impact of it? Well, the coming days will reveal that. But NAFEM yesterday gained 0.70% to close at 1,596 Naira 56 kobo, opened at 1,607 Naira, while for NAFEX it closed at 1,903 Naira 38 kobo after it went up more than 1% at the close of Wednesday's trade. Of course, that retail Dutch auction with a total qualified bid of $876.26 million out of 1.18 billion bids submitted. As I said earlier, we'll talk more about that. And talking about that, the central bank yesterday sold $876.26 million at 1,495 Naira for a dollar to 26 qualified banks. And I guess this is how we'll be having it in the coming days, which this resulted in the appreciation of the Naira, which we saw the numbers right there. According to the CBN Director of Financial Markets Department, Omolara Duke, the Apex Bank received $1.18 billion from 32, that's billion dollars, from 32 dealer banks. However, only about 75% of the total bid amount was supplied by the Apex Bank at that latest auction. So now let's find out if this appreciation has really come to stay, or is it just the news of the new system, the Dutch auction system? Mr. Bismarck Rouhani is in a good position to explain this to us. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company. Mr. Rouhani, once again, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, Ini.
So we saw the Naira appreciate yesterday, but of course we wonder if this has come to stay. We know that news moves the market, but over the coming days we would see if this auction system, the retail auction system, really is what we need and will keep the Naira on a positive trend.
Okay, let me first explain to viewers that the typical route to getting to achieving market efficiency in price in the foreign exchange market is actually one. You start with the retail Dutch auction, which means that you sell to everybody at the retail level through their banks. Then we have what they call the wholesale auction, where the banks buy, hold in a position, and distribute to their clients. And finally, there's the interbank system, where the banks and the central bank you have an auction, and everybody bids, and the highest bidder wins. Now, so we'll come back to the basic, which is a retail Dutch auction, which is cumbersome and difficult to administer, but it is transparent and it's open. So what happened yesterday the central bank sold $876 million in one day. Basically to do what? To clear also the backlog and people complain that there's no demand and there's no supply. Having said that, because of the administrative costs attendant with all of these things, the market, the Naira depreciated to 1,615 Naira in the parallel market, while it was at 1595 before then. So these are early days. What will happen is that the central bank has to come out to say, one, this is how many times we are going to have the auction. Maybe you should say twice a week, once a week. People can then plan. When people now plan, then they will now know that this price at which will be the next time it's going to happen is in 2 weeks' time and prepare for it. Secondly, we must understand that the waiver on duty waiver and for the products, sugar, wheat, and others, has kicked in on the 1st of August. But for you to achieve it, you must open the LCs right now. So the demand for foreign exchange is a bit exaggerated because of, one, the people rushing to buy forex to import goods. Two, this is summertime. People are going on holidays. And thirdly, schools are resuming. Labor Day in the US is the first Monday in September, which is 3 weeks from today. So you can imagine that the seasonal effect of demand is having an impact. But generally speaking, at 1,615, we expect that by today or tomorrow, the Naira should appreciate to about 1590 and will stay at those levels for the next 1 month. So does it have an effect on commodity prices? Not really, because the commodity prices, the people buying forex for commodities have actually been buying in an average between 1,500 and 1,600. Therefore, there's no cause for alarm. I think if the central bank consistently auctions and comes up with a schedule, are we going to have it bi-weekly? Are we going to have it once every week? Then people can now plan and take that into consideration. And finally, I want to point out that in the Dutch auction, you have to fund your bid. That means you must put your Naira, you must put your money where your mouth is. Now, the Naira that has been sucked out, $872 million at times, whatever it is quite significant. What it has led to this morning is that there's a higher interest rates in the interbank market. And if the banks have to go and borrow from the central bank's standby facility window, to be borrowing at about 32%, and that is very expensive.
All right. So talking about commodities prices, I think we did try to bring that up. What's happening with that? We saw a correspondent reported in Port Harcourt that some markets, they noticed a hike in price in the midst of the protest. And I'm wondering, what has suddenly driven the price of the protest? But what's happening generally with commodities prices at this time?
Well, what we have seen, domestic commodity prices, our team went into the markets yesterday. And we saw something, well, first and foremost, we saw a 37% drop in the price of tomatoes. Why? It's down to 60,000 Naira, and tomatoes was gold dust about, 2-3 weeks ago. So that's a major development. But the price of rice, coincidentally, went up by 3.66% to 85,000. This is happening at a time when the federal government is selling rice to public servants at 40,000, while let me use the word parallel market for rice is at 85,000 Naira. So what happens? You buy the civil servant will buy it at 40,000 and sell it at 85,000 Naira. That's inefficient. The price of flour has gone up now. It's now 62,000 Naira. The flour millers are saying, one, the new waiver has not kicked in. The ports have not been instructed. The customs is still charging them duty in spite of the fact that today is April 8th. So that's affected flour. Rice, as you know, is 85,000, and pepper has come down. So what we've seen is pepper down to 60K, and tomatoes also down. Pepper is down 57%, and tomatoes down 60%. I think that part of the problem is that these are perishables, and because of the protests and the movement, the restrictions of movement because of protests, those goods and the ones that are in the farms are not getting to the market, and the ones in the market are being sold off so that there's no. So what I think will happen is that in the next few days, the price of pepper and tomatoes will increase again, because as soon as people start bringing those goods to the market, so it will find a true value. Right now, it's the perishable value that we are seeing in the market.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this still highlights the running problem or challenge of post-harvest losses, lack of preservation, facilities and storages, and it doesn't seem we have a lot of attention in that area. So today it's tomatoes and pepper. They are cheaper, but I mean in the next few days, as you said, especially when the harvest season is over, we see prices skyrocketing again.
But you see, another thing you must notice that we've seen the price of beans has stayed steadily higher than others because, one, beans is not as perishable as tomatoes. But we also saw an increase, a surge in the price of gari as well. So if you take those things which are dry products, if I may use the word, gari and beans, gari is not perishable than beans. The pest effect on beans is the only problem. So you find that beans are stayed steadily high, and it's a protein, it's an alternative protein source. Gari at the same time. So carrying out a market survey of prices at the time of protest and crisis will not give you a proper reading. So whatever reading we are getting for inflation projections now cannot be considered reliable because this is an exceptional period. In another week, when by the end of this week, by Saturday, you will see that prices will have stabilized, petrol queues would have disappeared, and then we begin to have the efficient prices. But what we are telling Nigerians that this is what has happened. The effect of the protest on the economy as a whole, as we discussed last Tuesday, comes to almost $500 million a day if you are using 50% downtime parameters. So there is a cost of the protest. There is the seasonal effect of the protest on prices. And then we have the seasonality of the planting and harvest season. So it's difficult to make projections on price at this time, especially knowing very well that the imported products with duty-free commodities will get into the market any moment from now.
All right, so talking about that duty-free, Mr. Rwani, we have been told it to end, I think, is this September or November? Isn't it kind of risky because at this time it means we might see excessive demand on those commodities and working towards that end? I wonder what effect it will have afterwards, especially on the domestic producers.
Yeah, you see, the price of oil is also politically, it has geopolitical determinants that go into the price of oil. You can see that the price of oil went all the way down to 75. It's not about 78, but the EIU projects that the price of oil will stabilize at about $80 a barrel. What does $80 a barrel mean? It means that based on today's refining capacity and projections, we think that the actual retail price of petrol in the market will be anything about 1,400 naira. What is the average price today is about 700, and of course the people protesting are saying bring it down to what it was before, which is 200. That conversation has to be had, but as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have the Dangote refinery, which has the capacity to produce, and it should be coming into the market with PMS any moment from now. What the Dangote refinery does, it guarantees supply and quality, but what it does not do is to guarantee selling at the price below cost. Because selling at the price below cost is to guarantee losses and the demise of any investment. So that is the question. The question of how much of subsidies are you willing to bear, and how are you going to be using the revenue saved from the subsidy reduction to actually improve the lives of your citizens. That's the challenge before the government itself, and it's also a challenge by the governed to be realistic in making their demands. But having said that, this is a time for constructive engagement and discussion so that we don't get to a situation where we just go into a downward spiral of political crisis, taking over economic fundamentals. I think that there will be some accommodation between all parties in the interest of the country and the economy. And when we see that, we will then begin to see that, one, we guarantee ourselves refined products and not just petrol, diesel, kerosene, aviation fuel. And the availability of this will actually reduce the constraints to output and begin to make prices drop in the medium term. So I think after this tough period in the next 1 week or two, things will stabilize and we'll start to address the fundamental issues. But it's important that the establishment and the government itself understand the pain of the people so that we can begin to see an improvement in the atmosphere, so that it's too combative right now. And a combative environment is not good for business and good for investment.
All right, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Let's take a break. When we come back, it's still on the economy. This time from the Subnationals. What are they doing? What should they be doing? Join us for that conversation. Welcome back. It's still Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Now we're turning our eyes to the Subnationals. That's the states. We're talking about the benefit. The president has said we should just be patient a bit and we'll get the benefit of those economic reforms that have been lauded by, international bodies. But Nigerians back here saying, well, the pinch is so much. But let's see, perhaps there are some things that states should be doing after all. States and then local governments are closer to the people than the federal. So let's find out, well, I know Mr. Uchenwosu, he did try to be a governor. He's a former commissioner, lands in Imo State. And so he has a vision that I believe he has presented to the people. Mr. Uchenwosu, it's good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Just before we delve into the serious business, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday to you, and thank you for sharing the day with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So it's not a very pleasant time in the country now. We've seen the protests, even though it's dying down. The demands are there. They are not new, unfortunately. Even as we speak, there are still queues at filling stations. Yes, the price of pepper and tomatoes are going down now, but not for good reasons and not sustainable. I know that you have presented a vision, of running a state before. Perhaps you could share with us what states are supposed to be doing at this time to bring succor to the people.
Thank you very much. The issue we had and why the youth went for protests was hardship. And we're not talking about youth alone. We're talking about the elderly women and elderly men. But thank God that Mr. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu had them and is taking action in order to cushion this hardship. But what we should ask ourselves is, looking at the number of people that went for these protests, you find out that the youths are more. There are no elderly person in that protest. It's almost 99% of them are youths. And what that tells us is that there is need to rejig the youth ministries in the federal and in the states. I think what vital states should do is, one, they should immediately convene a town hall meetings of youth from one local government to other. With that, they can be able to identify the problems of youth according to local government. The problem of a youth from one local government is not the same problem of a youth from another local government. The needs of a youth from one local government is not the needs of another youth from one local government. So when they convene this town hall meeting, they should be able to know, and this should be done through the Ministry of Youth or any youth department. That's why I said the youth department or ministry need to be rejigged, both from federal to local government to states. Once they understand the problem of those youths, immediately what our states should do at this point in time is to take the database of unemployed youths in the local government. When they have the database, because you cannot be talking about taking or empowering them when you don't know the number of youth you are going to handle. You cannot also be talking about solving their problem when you don't know their problem, because for you to identify or to cure a sickness, you must know the symptom. And what is the symptom? That is why this youth town hall meeting is very, very critical. And when you have those, when you have the database, immediately they should start the skill acquisition training, vocational training. This is very key. This vocational training will be able to train those ones who do not have what they are doing. And in doing that, our state in different areas can be able to train them and also provide a bank or a platform where money is kept for this enterprise. Because after training, the next thing is that how do you empower them? Take example, you train somebody on hairdressing, on barbing salon, on vulcanizing or welding. Then after that, there should be money kept aside that immediately after this training, they should be able to give them this money to start work. This is on the youth angle, because I believe that the major problem we are facing are that of the youth, unemployment. And if they do this, they've been able to identify that so number of youths are not employed. If you go to, take example, when you go to, say you go to Akwa Ibom now, they have 1 million youths. Out of 1 million, how many are not employed? You have their database. You now set aside money, a fund for enterprise. And how much is being set aside? You keep it there. That money cannot be touched. That money is only for these young people. Then, what again? You go back to our elderly women and men in the rural area. Those are predominantly agricultural people. You'd ask yourself, what can we do to cushion the effect of this hunger? Because, you know, remember that why most of these people cannot go back to their farm again is either because of the insecurity in their place or farmers' headers clash. We have to tackle the issue of security. Like I always say, it cannot be left to the president alone to tackle the issue of security. Here, the governors need to come in. And beside, the money that the states are getting now is more compared to what they are getting before. So what they need to do is to put more effort, because the president is up there. The governors are the people in the states. And this trickles down to the local government, to the communities, to the village, and to even the kindreds in the states. The agricultural sectors need to be rejigged and empowered. One, the farmers need to be encouraged. How do we encourage them? One, by loan, by giving them farm equipment. And this farm equipment is not giving them money to buy farm equipment. You are going to get farm equipment and give to them to work with. Then you ask yourself, sometimes when these farmers, after production, you find out that some of this food waste on the road. I was on a trip from Abuja to Makurdi, and by the roadside, I saw mangoes and some of this fruit wasted on the road because there is no government or storage facility. So we need to create storage facility for time like this. When time like this comes, the government need to buy off those goods from those ones that were giving money, who even after producing, they might not sell out, but they still have some. Instead of wasting, we'll bring them, buy them, store them. At time like this, government can push those materials out so that we can cushion the issue of hunger. I think if the state governors can actually put more effort in agriculture, on the youth empowerment, I think we should be able to have handled a lot of issues facing this country. And then this issue of protest and demonstration will reduce to its minimum level.
All right, Mr. Wonsu, I mean, it sounds very brilliant. And I do know that even as we speak, in a lot of states, we hear of skills acquisition centers. We've seen, oh, come and apply. I've been to some ministries of agriculture in different states, especially like a state a couple of years ago in Benue, and you see the tractors and equipment lying there fallow. So it does seem like this idea you have shared is common knowledge. However, when it comes to implementing it, there are, I mean, I don't know what kind of hurdles that we face. In Lagos here, you have skills acquisition centers, but you go there, you don't even see the equipment that they're supposed to use to get. So is it a political will that is lacking? Because the ideas certainly are out there.
When we have, most of the time, we have the briefcase politicians being given appointments. You see somebody who is a commissioner for agri, he's not even a farmer. Sometimes you see people who handle the Ministry of Agri. They have not even gone to farm. They don't even know what a hoe is called. They don't even know what a tractor is called. So when you give them an office, they don't realize that when you have tractors and hoes and knives and these things meant for farming, they don't realize that you are taking it back to the farmers. They think it's something that is kept there. So it has to come with somebody who has their heart for these farmers. You might be surprised that sometimes the federal government might give farm instruments to some ministry, and you see those instruments there for 2 years, 3 years, and has not been distributed. What does that tell you? That tells you that they are not even concerned, because the head, you see, when the head is wrong, the entire body will go wrong. The head does not know what farming is all about. And check, probably he doesn't even have a backyard garden like we used to call in primary school. He has not even planted maize before. So the issue is the person that is heading that department. And that is why, from state to the federal, what the president and what the governors need to do is not to give some of these offices to people who do not care, who don't have the technical know-how to handle those offices. You must, I would prefer to have a farmer from Plateau State who cultivate rice or tomato to head that office than to have somebody who wears his agbada and sit in an office and look clean with red cap and big shoes and clean shoes and stay in the office and cannot even go to the farm. I prefer that farmer. I prefer the farmer who is in a Benue, who farms his rice, who is inside the farm, to be that minister or to be that commissioner, so that he knows where it pinches them, than having somebody who does not know about farming. That's the problem we have. It's like the issue of youth. Is when you don't have people who are close to the young people handling the Ministry of Youth, both in the state and federal, you find out there is no communication. Why we had these challenges? Because the communication was not there. The youth gave this signal for almost almost a month or 2 months plus. I was thinking that immediately that thing came up, there would have been a movement from one state to another for a town hall meeting. The problem of a youth in Borno State is not the problem of a youth in Anambra State. You go around, identify your problem, and know what their problem is, solve their problem according to their states. By the time you have interaction, town hall meeting in states and local government, you should be able, if there are 100 of them that are very angry, by the time you finish, 50 would have known. Again, the National Orientation Agency needs to be empowered and funded. I'm surprised that throughout this process, and even what some of the things, programs that the federal government gave, the issue of 70 increase in minimum wage, the issue of student loan, and so many of them. I'm surprised that the National Orientation Agency, which is government agency that is supposed to be ringing this bell, telling people what government is doing, even the state increment of allocation to states, these are things that they need to know about. So what am I saying? If the head in a department is right, the entire body will be right. But if the head is not right, be sure that you still have those equipment lying fallow in the ministries and offices.
All right, Mr. Nwosu. Well, interestingly, on our Sunrise Daily program, I think 2 days ago, we did have the DG of National Orientation, and he talked about funding being a challenge. So, I mean, everything goes back to money. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and time with us this morning. So there you have it. We do have the ideas, but I mean, implementing it is another thing. Is it funding, or is it, as Mr. Nwosu said, getting the right people into the right place? Well, yesterday the NGX did recover 0.18%. The all-share index is now at 97,000. 1,098. Banking led that amongst others, insurance, and also we'll give you intraday numbers at 1 p.m. when Ladi will be here, as well as Aniti Edit, to give you the latest numbers on Business Incorporated. Let's head back now to the Sunrise Daily Studios.
All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, much ado about the protest. Now, take a look at this. I mean, you might have seen some of these images, these youths bearing placards with different inscriptions on them, indicating why they hit the streets in protest. This was what did show up in a lot of places in different parts of the country over the past couple of days, and some think they still got reasons to be out there. Hunger happens to be a dominant feature for the most part. But there were several of them who also spoke up as to why they were there out on the streets. Let's have a listen to one of them.
Hunger have brought me out. Insecurity have brought me out. Poor housing have brought me out. A lot of things that is going on in this country.
Okay, so, but there was a different kind of protest over the last couple of days as well, of which our guest, Comrade Tosin Adeyonju, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund, participated. I think you played a key role. Good morning, first of all. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning. A pleasure to be here.
So looking at this one, it was a different kind of protest, if we could have a look at that, because it was not with any hunger protest. This is what was going on. You were in this particular one, weren't you?
I was there.
And so, if I understand properly, we saw they were cooking?
Yes, people were eating, people were having fun. People were talking about what Mr. President has done in the last 1 year. Praying and appealing to young people in this country to be patient with Mr. President and give him some time so that he can finish what he has started. Because at this material time in our nation history, nobody, since 1999, I always say it, has done what Mr. President has done. Since 1999, no president has appointed more young people in government like me, like him, since 1999. So such a man needs time, needs prayers, needs support. We need to solidarize with him and let him do more for young people of this country. So basically, that's why a lot of young people too came out to say that we support what he has done. We are praying for him, and we appeal to Nigerians and young people to be patient with him, because it means well for the young people of this country.
I mean, but it's understandable if people are eating rice being cooked. They'll be happy. They'll pray for anybody who gives them that particular rice at that point in time.
No, I think it's not only about food. It's not, this protest that happened is not about hunger.
Which one? This one here?
The protest generally that we witness across the country, I don't think it's about hunger. If you look at it, fine, people have right to protest. Nigerians have the fundamental rights to gather, to call for whatever things that they feel is not going right. But at the same time, we must protest with some level of decorum, some level of patriotism, not the kind of protest we witnessed in the past few days. But we thank God, everything has calmed down, and reasons has prevailed, because a lot of appeal has gone out to these young people to believe in their country, to believe that the president needs some time to fix this country.
How many people were in that particular space?
This thing took about some few days. Not only 1 day, it happened for the past 7 days. That's happened People came out in their numbers in Abuja. Some of your correspondents were there. Maybe they came the day they were eating, but people came out for the past 7 days to tell Nigerians that some people too believe that the president has done well. And in as much as the president has done well, he has support base across the country. And there is need for people to come out to show solidarity with him. And that's why these young people came out too, and women to say that, okay, Mr. President needs some time.
To feed that amount of people, that's a lot of bags of rice.
No, these are Nigerians.
Almost like 100 bags of rice.
No, it's not about...
Is it 200?
It's not about the food. It's not... Some people say
it's not about the food. We're seeing people eating.
Really, it's not about the food. It's not about hunger or something, but it's just about people showing appreciation and patriotism to the president.
Just so we can understand, the budget for this feeding, where did it come from?
I'm not aware of any budget allocation for any feeding, but what I'm concerned about, what I know, is that some people were concerned that the protest was not about hunger.
Yes, I'm talking about the feeding that was going on at this... I don't even know what to call it, protest, because you're supporters of the president.
Yeah, these are ordinary Nigerians that came together.
The funding for that feeding I'm seeing there, for the canopies, for transporting these people there, how much was that, and where did the funding come from?
I think you should know my history. I think maybe he knows me very well. Some of us have always been on the streets. We've always been at the barricade, even before we got into government. So when we see things that has to do with about good governance, I have an NGO that's about good governance in this country. I've appeared on this show several times to talk about good governance in Nigeria, to talk about patriotism. So we've always been at the barricade, we've always been on the street. That's why some of us came out to tell people on the street that we are the ambassadors in government.
So you don't want to tell them how much this cost?
We are the ambassadors in government.
You don't want to tell us how much this thing cost and where the funding came from?
Because
you're answering everything except the question.
My sister, over the years, we have always done this, even when we're not in government.
Yes, now, so where does the funding come from?
It's Nigerians that came together to support a president that believed that he has done well.
Okay.
So it's individual contribution that they supported that, okay, somebody brought water, somebody brought rice, somebody brought cooking gas. They came together as Nigerians that we are not as hungry as people think we are as a nation.
The economic indices in our country right now, no, don't be frustrated.
No, I'm good.
The economic indices in our country right now shows that the living standard of the Nigerian has fallen very, very drastically since your principal, since the president came in and made those policies. Necessary policies, and we've heard him explain this, necessary for where we're supposed to go as a country. But the buffers to help the Nigerian not deteriorate in the process, many Nigerians believe that those buffers are not there, and that's why many people came out to protest. What do you make of that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, if you look at what Mr. President has done since he came, he said there was need for us to remove subsidy because the country was subsidizing neighboring countries. And that money needs to be diverted to infrastructure, education, health services, agriculture, loans for students. In recent months, in recent weeks, over 2 billion scholarship loans has been given to people that could not afford fees in the tertiary institutions. This is commendable. Since 1999, nobody has done that for students in this country. These are children of the poorest of the poor. That's an intervention in that direction. About a week or two ago, he created a livestock to target and focus on how to revive our agricultural issues. If you look at the system in the north, where most of the food comes from, there's been an issue of insecurity. But in recent times, the security challenge has reduced drastically because they are mitigating in that aspect. So what we need as a nation is that Mr. President should be supported and should be given some time to continue what he has started. In 1 year, you cannot fix a nation like Nigeria.
Well, you didn't answer my question. Do you think that the life of the Nigerian has deteriorated? You didn't answer that question.
For me, I think it's a work in progress. You can't say the country's lives are deteriorated because the indices need to be
different strokes, different strokes for different folks. Ayo.
Well, yes, certainly the other folk is here with me. Adeyinka Dabira is a human rights activist and an entrepreneur. Apologies, by the way, for the picture we showed of you earlier. You've listened to Mr. Adeyinju speak. And, first of all, you won't have some reactions?
I heard a few of his comments when he said, oh, the government is working. Okay, we want to assume that it's true, the government is working, because you can't be in the office without working, but who are the people you are working for? Okay, you also mentioned that this government has been engaging youths. Part of his cabinet are a whole lot of youths. Okay, so on what merits do these youths, did they emerge in the first place? Were they employed, or were they given portfolios because they merit it, or because they have worked in the campaign team and they needed to be compensated? You talked about also giving, scholarship loans and all that. On what broadcast do you people put these things on for the masses to see? We know that you engage the people by saying, oh, the government is making provision for these. Okay, they are supplementing. There's a lot of food giving and all that. You can't feed Nigerians like they are refugees. I saw the video putting people under the canopy. We are not stupid. We see these things. We know how these people are. We saw a lot of broadcasts of people that were even engaged to come and say, oh, we are against the protest. And then they came back confessing that, oh, we didn't even know that was what they were taking us for. So you can't be feeding us, like giving us a bag of rice, half bag of rice, 2 cups of beans, like we are refugees in this country. A lot of things that the government can actually do, stress-free, and that it will cut across. You're talking about, okay, giving people food supplementary and all that, local government per local government. Must they belong to APC party for them to have access to these things? It is not even talking about the food. For how long are you going to keep giving people 2 cups of rice and 2 cups of beans? We are saying this hike in food price is too much. We are saying, let us, even this hike in price of everything, it is indirectly the masses paying ridiculous, tax. The taxation is on us. We are the one generating the revenue for this government. So if we are to generate the revenue, there should be a means of, supplementing these things and making life livable for people. I hear him say, okay, the economy is not so bad, that is a work in progress. I agree, it's a work in progress. But there must be a way to make the masses understand. I have talked about having a town hall meeting. The presidency has referred us back to our state governors. Okay, so we need our governors to create, I mentioned that in one of my interviews, let us have a town hall meeting that does not just bring up your APC members into that town hall meetings, but everyone that is a front line pushing against a bad governance. Because we've seen this government enrich a lot of people, a few percentage of people that are coming out to say this government is working. For me and a whole lot of Nigerians out there, it's not working for us. Our NEPA tariff is crazily on the increase that we cannot even imagine. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't generate so much, but I pay like 300K plus for NEPA bill. It's not like I'm making pure water company. It's just an office that I'm running. Okay, we are talking about hiking fuel price. We are talking about, okay, car conversion, the CNG thing. Okay, how do we implement these things? We need something that can be implemented in a short time that can create a relief for the people. You go to the same market that we go to. Probably you guys have the money right now and you don't feel what we feel. But there's no job opportunity for the people. There are a lot of graduates out there. They don't have job. And whenever you call for protest, definitely they will come out because they are not working. Even with the entrepreneurs, we don't have the front, what do you call it now? We don't have we don't have provision for loan to service whatever it is that we have as an idea that can create empowerment, for the masses.
But sometimes, you said something that is quite instructive, and that is the fact about communication on some of these issues, which a number of people have spoken about. How do you expect governments to do it? A huge number of Nigerians are young people. Yeah. Most of the time, young people are more on the social media platforms as opposed to, and other digital platforms, as opposed to the regular television and radio and newspapers. Yeah. So if government was going to get through to the people, how do you propose that you do that? Okay,
so my proposition has been that, okay, the president has referred us back to our states. We all belong to a particular state where we pay tax, okay? So let us have a town hall meeting, set up a town hall meetings, And then let us have youth representatives that were frontliners, or maybe selected by their own, I don't know, they can select. But let Nigerians, let your state's youth be part of that conversation. And then we've had what we call our demands, right? Let us start implementing, let's work on those demands and see which ones are achievable in the shortest period of time. The people will leave the streets. But when you keep saying the government is working for who?
Now, when you say that the government made a proposition that the state governors should be engaged, there are those who have said that one of the issues that they had with this protest was that the protesters, the leaders of the protests, have been faceless. So in a good number of the states, how do you propose that the governor should interface with those people who they call faceless? What should be the first step in making that call?
Okay, so they know, they are very much aware that the leaders are not faceless. I am not faceless, but a lot of them have been adopted by the DSS and all that because they are coming out to protest. It's a fundamental right. I have the right to say, look, you are a government for the people, elected to the office by the people. So if the ruling or your governance is not to the advantage of my people at the grassroots level, I have the right to come and say, Mr. President, this is not working for us. I think there should be a review. So these people have a face. You know the people that are the activists. Okay, we've had activists in the past that have led protests. If you check throughout the entire state, people are leading protests. I'm not talking about the people that are carrying different flags. That is not the motive. Okay, so we don't know where that is coming from. But what we are saying is the voice of the people is the voice of God. You need to listen to the people. You can engage these people. They know them. They can't tell us that it's faceless. I was at Ojota for a few days. Okay, I've been granting interviews. This is not my first time of coming out for protest. If you want to engage these people, you can engage. These are just narrative to pocket and to shy away from that responsibility of creating a genuine engagement.
Okay, now, before we go back to Abuja, do you think that sometimes the agitations or the admonition of the people is sometimes overly centralized? I ask that because, I mean, the president had to be the one to say, look, you go to the governors because they have been given trillions of naira over the past few days, weeks, months, or even years. So do you think that sometimes in all of this agitation, we over-centralize the issues?
Yeah, a little bit. I will agree with you that we over-centralize it. But then the federal government is still in control. It's the one that can give a verdict to say, okay, you guys should go and negotiate at your state level, yeah? You can make that, you can compel them into doing that.
But you know that the governors, everyone knows that governors get money all the time.
Yes, we know they get money all the time, and we don't know what they do with this money.
Exactly. So why don't we take the agitation to them first?
Okay, so that is part of it. That's why we have the protests in all states. Okay. And we are saying we want our state governors to be accountable to us, the people, that they are in office for.
Now, he's talking about some, initiatives of government, that are wonderful and all of those things, the farming, student loan and all those things. But it would seem like, as you said, they are just in pockets here and there. Not many people know about them.
I've been hearing about that a few times. It's not like I know about it. Is it published on newspaper? Do people have access to those portals, whether you are a party member or not? So that is the challenge in it for me. Why is it that it is only the party members that knows that these things are existing? Because I've been hearing people talk about it on social media spaces. I don't know about it. Okay, I know about the student loan, but the student loan, we have a problem with it. We need it to be well explained. Now, if you're giving me a student loan, we have a lot of graduates out there that are not employed, and I take this loan to complete my school process, and I graduate. What is the guarantee in it for me that I'm going to be able to get a job that will service this loan after I am done schooling? So a lot of people don't trust that process. You need to come out and explain it to us. How do you even employ those that have graduated from school? First and foremost, you're talking about the farming estates, getting hectares, millions of hectares of lands and all that. Those are long-term executions. Okay. They are not immediate.
Okay, let's go back to Abuja. Well, Mr. Adeoji, you heard her. I'm pretty sure you have a comment or two in your response.
Yes, I think, thank you, my sister, for those comments and observations. I think what Mr. President has done for us as a country is something that has never been done before. For the first time, Mr. President has taken governance back to the grassroots. Since 1999, we've not had a situation whereby we have a local government autonomy. And this engagement she's talking about is not closer to the people. In the coming weeks, in the coming months, there will be local government autonomy, there will be direct payment to local government council areas in this country. And the appeal for these conscious young people is to engage their local government chairmen and women at the local level, because they must be accountable to the people, not to anybody again, because they don't have immunity. And they must do the right thing with the public funds. So for me, for the conscious Nigerian people that have come out to say that the president must do this and this and this, and the president has said, no, I'm helping you to take back the what's it called, local government back to you, whereby you have opportunity to scrutinize their books and make sure that allocations meant for local government are judiciously used. So for me and for all of us, we need to thank Mr. President for this initiative, for this bold step, and the judgment they got at the Supreme Court. These things has lingered over the years.
So is that to say that as the president and leader of the party, the governors in the same party, he can't call them and say, listen, we are the ruling party. You have to have a target of creating millions of job opportunities for young people.
If you yesterday, I think even some of the governors were around. President engaged the governor every time. And you know, we practice federalism in this country. We have 3 tiers of government. We have the local government, the state, and the federal. So for me, the president cannot order the governors around.
No, I'm not going to say order.
Yes. What the president has done over the past 1 year is to support our people through the states. This money is all over the media. 570 billion has been given to states, coupled with others that have been given before now. But trillions loads of rights have been given to states to see how they can help.
Are you happy with the way they've performed?
Well, that's why, for me as a person, that's why I want to challenge our young people.
No, the governors, not the young people.
Yes, for me, I think the governors can do more in terms of the support the president is giving to them.
Meaning, compared to the money that they've been given,
yes,
you're not happy with the results you've seen so far.
What I'm saying is that the president can do better and they can do more. As I've always said, it's work in progress. We cannot solve this problem in one day. The president has just spent 1 year in office and is coming with his own strategy of engagement and deliverables to the people of this country. And I believe strongly, if those things that he has done with the state government has not been properly annexed, I think moving forward, he might make changes. And I think strongly that the local government autonomy is the deal breaker. And Nigerians must look in that direction and focus in that direction to make sure that our allocations are judiciously spent at the local level.
Ayo.
Sure, you heard him as well, but, perhaps one of the things that, a good number of people should be looking at in the direction of government now is how will the young people engage the governors? Okay. Are you expecting that the governor should make the first move?
No, the governor has to make the first move because he is the captain of his state. So he talked about us going to our local government. We know Nigerian government and their system is not that organized for me to go to my local government and want to engage my local government chairman.
Why not?
Yeah, because they don't want to be seen. They are not seen. They are only seen when they are going in their escort. If I am not a party member or I'm not an active party person, we know how these things operate. This is what we are saying.
I get that point. I apologize. I know we are running out of time, but we know their local government offices.
Yes.
So if we take the protest to them, what happens?
No. We don't want to take the protest to them. It's a waste of time for us. We want our state government, our state governor, create a town hall meeting, assemble all these our local government chairmen in the same town hall meeting. We want to have a face-to-face dialogue and say what are the things that are implementable in the shortest period of time. Now, you can now say, okay, this local government, okay, this will be the youth's frontliner for this local government, engage and relate with this your local government chairman. Give me reports at every 30 days of how well your local government chairman has performed. So the local government chairman now is accountable to the people directly. You can't send us to a local government chairman. He will be asking us, who are you to question me? We know how these things work.
Well, you know that the local government chairman doesn't really, according to the law, have to respond to the governor. The local government is only supervised by the House of Assembly. Yes,
they are supervised by the House of Assembly. But in this case now, we are talking about economic meltdown and the fact that the people are not enjoying the benefits of your stay in the office where you're supposed to be serving the people. Now, there's a big reason for a call for, let me call it dialogue, yeah? Let me call it dialogue per local government. But it has to start from the state. Yeah. Then the state will now, separate it into organs and say each local government, that is why it is a town hall meeting. It's not compelling them. It is saying whatever the federal is giving to you, but through the states, you must be accountable to the people you are meant to service with these funds.
Absolutely.
So that can be transparent to all, and we will now know if they are actually working for the people or they are working for themselves.
Well, I guess now every governor, 36 of them, including the FCT minister, I dare say, have their jobs cut out for them. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Adeynka Dabira is a human rights activist as well as an entrepreneur. Thank you again for your time. Thank you very much. Chamberlain. Okay.
All right. Tosin, your closing thoughts.
Yes, I want to tell Nigerians that we at National Lottery Trust Fund, our mandate is about good causes. And over the years, we've done over 76 projects in terms of education, water, sports, support, disaster management, and some of these interventions and health.
Where did you do? People don't know about
across the country. Before now, I've just been in office for like a month, and I think in moving forward, most of these interventions will be adequately publicized. A lot of work is going on. I will be in Osun next week at Ijebu, Ijesha, primary health centers to donate some health equipment to that primary health centers. We'll be in Abia, Anuaku local government, to donate some health materials. We'll be in Rivers. So we are, as interventionist agency, have done so much, and we continue to do more to support Nigerians that are in need.
We'll keep that.
And that's
so
what Mr. President
can know
hope and is doing
what
for
is
the good
going
people
on
of this country.
Thank you very much, Tosin Adeyanju, Executive Secretary, National Lottery Trust Fund. Let's quickly take some messages before we go. Well, Professor Enhaina says, floundering Tinubu policies are not working, and this is responsible for weakening the Naira, debilitating economy, and this intertwined with palpable inflation and poverty, responsible for insecurity and discernible macroeconomic collapse, which oftentimes is due to ponderable fiscal policy incapacitating government programs.
Festus Akimboyewa, the only way we can enjoy cheap PMS in Nigeria is by waking up our 4 refineries from the dead. Reducing costly legislative requirements refineries have to meet so that our local refineries can thrive. I'm focusing more on refining other products like LPG, bitumen, which Ondo State has in abundance, and feedstock for petrochemical industries. God has blessed us with these wonderful resources, and Nigeria should not be poor.
So many other messages that we have on our X handle. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time this morning. I'm Ayo Makide. Have a wonderful day.
Was this correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you all for your messages. We appreciate them. We'll take them much later. Well, that is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
I'm Kayla Magua. Have a great rest of your day.
Admission. Admission is ongoing at Koladaisi University, Ibadan, where we have state-of-the-art laboratories and studios with structured, uninterrupted academic calendar. You can enroll for a variety of courses in the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences, Faculty of Law, Faculty of Pure and Applied Sciences, and Faculty of Arts Management and Social Sciences. For inquiries, please call 070-3795-3524, 070-3782 080-6015-8996 or visit our website on www.colorediceuniversity.edu.ng. Coloredice University, advancing the frontiers of knowledge.